just want to make a few brief remarks and answer a couple questions before we begin our presentation today. Yesterday, we feel that we laid out a very powerful case for why this trial should be no different than any other trial in America. It should involve the calling of witnesses. It should involve the production of documents. The House should have the opportunity to prove its case. And if we prove our case, the Senate should convict and remove the president from office. But the Senate should allow us a fair trial. The Senate should allow us a trial that's fair to the American people, one that allows the House to call relevant witnesses. One thing that was clearly established yesterday is the Senate is not a court of appeals. That was conceded, albeit in the wee hours of the morning, by the president's own team. The Senate is not a court of appeals that must deal with a dry record from the court below. There is no court below. The House charged the president, the Senate tries the case, a trial involves witnesses if it is fair, and we laid out exactly why these witnesses are important, what we expect they would have to say. We laid out all the documents that the administration is withholding, and how the senators, if they're doing impartial justice, should want to see those documents. The president, late last night or early this morning, depending on where you are in the world, bragged that he thought things were going well because they had all the materials. Well, indeed they do have the material hidden from the American people. That is nothing to brag about. And if the senators are serious about wanting to learn all the facts, if the president's team wants to contest any of the facts, these documents and witnesses will need to be produced. Let the American people hear what John Bolton has to say. Let the people hear what Mick Mulvaney has to say, or Secretary Pompeo, or any of the other witnesses with relevant information. They want to know. The American people overwhelmingly want to hear from these witnesses, and for a very good reason, because they can shed light on the president's misconduct. So yesterday we made the case for the witnesses and the documents. Today we will begin our trial with the factual chronology. We will go into extensive detail about what happened and when and how we know that it happened. We do not assume that everyone in the Senate was able to watch all of the House testimony. Some of you in the press were able to do that. We cannot assume the senators were able to do that even as we were, let alone that the American people were able to do so. So we will lay out all the facts in chronology, and new facts can continue to come to light, and we believe we will make an overwhelming case for the president's conviction on both Article 1 and Article 2. And with that, I'm happy to take a few questions.
Mr. Nadler, the Republicans have been going
I'm going to respond to the questions.
Okay, well, Mr. Nadler has been criticized by Republicans, Mr. Schiff.
Are you open to, in principle, a witness exchange so that Republicans can, for instance, call on Hunter Biden?
This isn't like some fantasy football trade, as I said yesterday. This isn't, we'll offer you this if you'll give us that. We'll offer you a witness that is irrelevant and immaterial, who has no relevant testimony, but a witness that will allow us to smear a presidential candidate if you want to get a legitimate witness. That's not a trade. Trials aren't trades for witnesses. We offered last night to have the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court rule on a question of materiality for any of the witnesses. And you know something? Not surprisingly, the president's team was vehemently opposed. Not because the president's team doesn't trust the Chief Justice to make an impartial decision, but because they do trust the Chief Justice to make an impartial decision about materiality. That's not what they want. They want to smear Biden. They want to effectuate the scheme that they were unable to do when they tried to get Ukraine to smear the Bidens. They want to use this trial to smear the Bidens. That's not the purpose of the trial, and the senators should not allow it to be abused in that way.
Mr. Schiff, Republicans have been...
Do you believe that people are listening to your arguments, or have they made up their minds?
Well, look, I can't speak for the senators. I would hope that they have an open mind. As I said yesterday, whatever they may have thought in the past, whatever they may have said in the past, there's an event of constitutional dimension that supersedes all of that, and that is the oath that they took at the beginning of this trial. So I have to hope that some, if not all, of the senators will abide by that oath and will hear us with an open mind. But even if they don't, I do expect the American people are watching, and I think the American people are listening. and they do have an open mind. And it's those Americans we're talking to also. As I said before, we're trying this case to two juries, the Senate and the American people.
Was it appropriate?
From the Chief Justice last night change anything about how you prepare and present your arguments?
Well, look, when you schedule a trial, as Mitch McConnell did, that's designed to be hidden in the dead of night, where you require litigants who are going at it for the entire day to go into the wee hours, you're going to have tempers flare. That happens in every courtroom in America as well. But we are going to try to keep focused on the facts. The President's team would like nothing more than to provoke a bitter conflict. We're not going to let them. The facts are damning. We're going to lay them out in great detail in our chronology today. Thank you very much.
Was it appropriate to call Republicans engaging in cover-up, sir? Was that appropriate?